The festival of cycling that is the Herald Cycle Tour, with Astron Energy made possible by Telkom, began, as it has done for many years now, with the mountain bike events at the Addo Polo Club. The 5 different race distances ensured there was really something for everyone, with the 500-metre toddler dash the shortest and the 80-kilometre extreme the longest. And it was the big one that attracted some of the biggest names in the sport. Multiple former national marathon champion Robin de Groot was back once again. Also on the start line for the 80k race was German former Olympic champion from 2008, Sabine Spitz.
Yeah, it's a lovely morning, a bit overcast, so perfect actually conditions for riding. I'm looking so much forward to come back here to Herald's mountain bike race, doing the SuperSport trails, lovely trails, and happy to be here.
Yeah, feeling good, really excited to be here again, and yeah, looking forward to the fantastic route that the Herald put on for the mountain bike race.
Over 1,000 mountain bikers of all ages, shapes, sizes and fitness levels made the effort to get out to the Addo Polo Club. Many taking advantage of the event's tented accommodation the night before so they didn't have to get up before dawn and do the hour-long drive out of Gqeberha. The 80-kilometre route is packed with variety. Wide open, smooth farm roads in the Sundays River Valley took them along the irrigation canals and in and out of the massive citrus orchards in the area. The pace was high on the front, which had the effect of splitting the big field into smaller bunches before they reached the single tracks. Always a pre-race talking point is the weather. Well, the riders could not have asked for better conditions. Cool and cloudy, with getting warmer as the day moved on. Mark Jamison and Ryan Arsley led a group over a canal crossing. Boise Sneyman and Quinton Whittle on their wheels. The lead group didn't stop at the Continental Waterpoint. Aaron Kleinschmidt and Stuart Murray in front. They did get loud vocal encouragement and some questionable dance moves from the crew. Back at the start, the chute was packed with hundreds of riders preparing for the 60-kilometre adventure. This was one of the biggest fields with dozens of juniors representing their schools. Gqeberha's Grey High School had 4 riders in the front row alone as they set off. Also popular were the 2 e-bike races over 60 and 30 kilometres. Both started over 20 minutes after the serious races in the 60 and 80 kilometre events. Talking of serious racing, the 30-kilometre race was packed with keen youngsters, a little younger than the juniors though, to show their speed and skill. And shortly after they raced away, it was the turn of the 5k riders to get a feel of a real mountain bike race. While there were a few adults in the mix, it was massively encouraging to see close on 150 youngsters 12 and under pedaling away. The 500-metre toddler's dash was a blast for the cutest and littlest bikers of them all. Out on the farm roads, it was freewheeling fun down the long descents as they made their way through various farms, including the Addo Dung Beetle Guest Farm. The 80-kilometre race was starting to take shape. Kleinschmidt and Murray were still dueling it out in front, with last year's winner Lauren Spies just behind the pair. The flattish first 22k's gave them little chance to attack, so the group remained big as they neared the start of the technical terrain and the climbs, which had defined the race. Top woman Robin de Groot was also in the bunch. The right turn off the R335 meant one thing: they were entering the fun phase of the race. The Head-to-Dale Trail Network is renowned for its superb single track and creative use of the undulating bush terrain. Murray, who farms in the area, knows the trails like the back of his hand and led Stekman van Zyl and Spies. The Head-to-Dale trails are at the base of the Zuurberg Pass and wind through the almost impenetrable Eastern Cape bush. Leading a group of chasers was Venter van der Mesht with Stuart Tiltman on his wheel. Only the 80k riders tackled the 9-kilometre ascent of the historic old pass. And it was Murray, van Zyl and Spies who'd opened a gap up on the chasing group of 4. The views from the top of the pass are simply superb. Sinutemba Mkwambi was digging deep to try and stay with that chase group. At a more leisurely pace, the Zuurberg Pass ride is a spectacular experience. Steep cliffs tower above on the left and dense bush down below on the right, before it opens up at the top of the hill. With the descent back down made up of around 10 kilometres of insane single track, Murray had manoeuvred himself onto the front of the lead trio, his tempo making it tough for Spies or van Zyl to come through. he knew what he was doing. Once on the descent, there were very few passing opportunities. The chase bunch could only hope that the lead group had spent too many pennies on the climb. Not likely though, Marais had flown, and Van Zyl and Spies were now chasing back frantically. Dan Howards and Graham van der Nest were loving the trails. An aerial view gives perspective to just how remote and wild the area is, and what an amazing job the Hayterdale Trail Builders have done in creating this incredible run. Marais, former Xterra champion, used his local knowledge and skill to build a formidable lead on the descent, which wasn't all downhill, of course. Spies is a two-time former winner at the Herald. Further back, Louis de Villiers and Pletz-Neil Clark were crossing the Pass Bridge. Second in the women's race was Sabine Spitz. Retired from full-time racing now 6 years ago, the German is still ultra-strong. The trail is almost hidden by the thick bush, and the riders can be forgiven for not really knowing what direction they were going in. All they needed to know was that these are some of the very best trails in the country. Fitting that the premier one-day race in the Eastern Cape makes use of them. Gavin Klink and Harry Oberzik were among the 60k riders sneaking through the bush. Like Stuart Marais, Robin de Groot had opened a solid lead to her rivals. Venter van der Mercht and Annelle Mtlana were going well inside the top 10. And Stuart Tiltman was flat out as he screamed past the 60k riders to chase a podium place. There was little doubt about the women's top step. Robin de Groot, a former Olympian, spends much of her working days now coaching aspirant athletes and keen amateurs, but she still is a super strong rider. The cooperation of the Sundays River farmers is legendary. The Venter's Trenley farm is one of the many who open their gates to the riders every year. New event partners Telkom were on call at one of the many well-stocked water points. Kaylee Jamison was one of only 5 women who took on the 80-kilometre adventure. Stegman van Zyl was in a tussle with Lauren Spies for second place, as Marais turned on the afterburners with a finish in sight. A special feature of the event every year is the swing through the huge Sundays River car pack shed and cold store facility. As the morning wore on, the wind got up, but not to the degree that it hindered the riders unduly. And Stuart Marais put the finishing touches to a classy ride as he took the win in 3 hours and 12 minutes.
I enjoyed the single tracks, some of the most amazing single tracks that you can ride anywhere in South Africa. And so I really enjoyed that, and I got to the final Grabber Road sections. I was a little tired, but I managed to just set a nice rhythm and take it through to the finish.
Robin de Groot's winning time was 3 hours and 31 minutes, good enough for 10th overall.
Yeah, and a big thank you to the organisers of the PE Herald mountain bike race. Really well organised, stayed on site last night. So yeah, really enjoyed it. The route was well marked, which is a big thumbs up, because I know there are a lot of distances crisscrossing, so well done.
Congratulations to the mountain events team for another well-organised Herald mountain bike event with new sponsors Astron Energy and Telkom. Whichever the distances they rode, the riders appeared to have had an absolute blast out on all the trails. Physio SA were there to ease the post-ride fatigue. It was a wonderful family vibe as the Eastern Cape mountain bike community came together and thoroughly enjoyed their day out at the Addo Polo Club and all the trails. Stuart Marais, Lauren Spies and Stegman van Zyl, the men's top 3. A week later, and the coastline was the place to be, as the Kaberga Cycling Festival continued ahead of the 39th edition of the Herald Astron Energy Cycle Tour in association with Telkom. The spinathon at Pollock Beach the day before the road race was a happening thing, with the riders being put through their paces on stationary bikes. This was all in aid of the Smile Foundation, an organisation that is committed to transforming the lives of children affected by facial abnormalities and severe burns with the best possible surgical and psychological care. Through this, they help children live a life inspired by confidence and possibility. Another wonderful initiative is the Itando Youth Cycle Academy, founded by Lutando Fiati, Anela Dalana and Natim 4. In 2020, it provides cycling, running and recreational activities in an effort to get them off the street and away from substance abuse and crime. Protea cricketing great and avid cyclist Makai Ntini was there to inspire and guide the youngsters in their dreams. The afternoon also saw the kiddies have their time to shine on the bike in the 500-metre toddler dash. And for the slightly older kids, there was a 2-kilometre ride around the beachfront area. This is where it all starts. First light the following morning, and riders were getting their heads in the game and their numbers on their backs for the big one. 106-kilometre Herald Cycle Tour with Astron Energy and Telkom. Nelson Mandela Bay had delivered a pearl of an early morning. The elite men's bunch had 4 strong teams and numerous individuals hunting for glory. The Realty Dynamics team were back with a strong team that included the 2024 race winner, Herald.
Oh, we're feeling positive. I think we've got a bunch of strong guys here, and we've had the chat beforehand. I mean, you can never say everything's going to go as planned, but we're hoping for it. And yeah, give it a roll of the dice and see how it goes this year.
What do you make of these conditions?
The conditions actually makes it more difficult than any wind, or if there's no wind, I mean, yeah, it's difficult to get away, it's difficult to make it hard. So
I think there's many options. We have many guys here, bunch of good sprinters. So if it comes down to a sprint, for sure I'll give it a good go with my experience on the track. But yeah, we've got guys that can ride away. Yeah, it depends on the wind though. If it's windy, for sure a good split will go, and then reduce sponge sprint. But yeah, definitely going to try and go for the win.
It's going to be tough competition. We got Melon Mobile from Johannesburg that has come down. RDX, who won it last year with Hartno Feldenace, they're also down, so it's going to be a tough race.
And away they rolled. The Herald is one of the big 4 city classics on the national calendar, and this year it also forms part of the Mzansi National Series. So there was plenty at stake for the races. Good attentive riding from Junior Zane Salzwedel of the on-track team, moving up early as a split opened up. After turning left off Settlers Way, Kinetic Pro and Crown Cycles sent 2 riders up. ASAP team in blue had 8 riders in the field. Local hopes were with Action Cycles and the on-track youngsters. Mountain bike winner Stu Murray had the chance to take the Ultimate Quest title as the best finisher across both elite events. They swept quietly through the streets of Walmer early in the morning at a good pace. The single file line on the front indicating there was something of an appetite for a move to go up the road. Along Hoog and Wiffelsfontein roads, a cloud of thick smoke made for low visibility for a few kilometres. A week after winning the SA Under-23 title, Warren Millman was in the national champions jersey for the first time and racing for the Melon Mobile Real Pay team. Herald was highly motivated to join the exclusive list of riders to have won the race 2 years in succession. His team, in fact, were chasing a hat-trick of wins after Tiens van der Bank won in 2023. Another man in form was Rogan Smart of the Plet Bike Shop, who had spent time in the break at the SA Championships in Midvaal. And he looked intent on putting his good legs to use early on in Gqeberha. Chad Brown, a junior for Action Cycles, was putting his considerable mountain bike prowess to good use and putting the peloton under some stress at the same time. In the yellow jersey, Brandon Downs as the leader of the Mzansi series after winning the Otterdal Trap. He was with the Melon Mobile team. All the big hitters were paying close attention, but it was still early days in the men's elite race. The women's race had defending champion Hayley Preen back for another shot at it.
Well, last year I rode 90 kilometers on my own. I don't think I want to do that again this year, so I'm not quite sure. I think we'll just see how it goes.
Well, it's a small but strong field, but I'm honestly here just for a good time, and we'll see what happens out there.
What's a good time?
Like having fun on the bike.
You mean not a time on the clock?
I don't know, it's a very small field, but we'll see.
Kelsey van Schoor was the hometown hope as the small elite women's field rolled away from the start at Pollock Beach. Reach for Rainbows were the only team in the field with 3 riders, Michaela Libber, Anya Duplessis and Zanri Rousseau. Race commissaires kept a close watch from the East Cape Motors Ford. The riders tapping out a good rhythm, as was this young supporter early in the morning. A year ago, Preen won the race with a 90-kilometre solo time trial ride. Now with the Honeycomb 2026's team, the Cape Town rider was keen to have some company if she went on the break. Back with the elite men and downs of the Mellon Mobile team was making it hard. Teammate Alwyn Steenkamp Jr. was up for it. They were nearing the halfway mark and still no one had made a break. It was going to be a tactical and strategic game through to the coastal roads, where the King of the Mountain at Maitlands and possibly the wind could play a role. The Just Property Waterpoint would be a busier stop later in the morning. For now, though, these riders were on the limit and not stopping. And Van der Nest, another who did the mountain bike race a week earlier, and inside him a fellow VC batch racer, David McEwen. They were up the road, with the remainder of the VC bunch giving chase behind. Brett Dawson sitting in the back of the 6-man VC chase group behind Andrew Watson in their honeycomb colours. Their efforts did pay off. They caught Van der Nest and McEwen. Now the VC race was on. The Lake Farm Centre Waterpoint crew were absolutely amazing in their support of the riders. In the women's race, 3 were up the road. Zanri Rousseau, Kelsey van Schoor and Hayley Preen as they crossed the busy N2 highway. The men had injected a significant turn of speed as they flew past the Waterpoint. ASAP's Daniel Williams-King was doing a turn to try and thin the group out. Then it was the turn of teammate Wynand Hofmeyer to wind it up. In the outer reaches of the course, semi-rural Gqeberha. Reese McDonald of RDX then got to work and tried a solo attack. Reese is a professional cycling coach, so he should know what he's doing. The race seemed to have ignited a little and the pace was high as they crossed the N2 for the second time and hit the Van Stadens Road. Steenkamp was joined by Kinetic pros Jason Breinkies. Another Cape Town team, Kinetic, sent Jamie Moses up to do a turn. Junior Zane Salzwedel was having a big day. He was in the mix and doing a turn on the front of the group as they hooked a right. They were closing in on the coastline. This was the business end of the Herald Astron Energy Cycle Tour presented by Telkom. There was an urgency now. The Maitlands climb was approaching and everyone wanted to be near the front. Chad Brown in the USA Shorts, a top-level mountain biker over there. He was born in North Carolina but lived for 10 years in Gqeberha before returning to the States. Out to visit family, he was an impressive guest rider for Action Cycles from Gqeberha. The Mellon Mobile squad looked to be executing their plan. Downs went through with teammate Andre Rasmus on his wheel and Warren Mulman there as well. Sensing trouble, ASAP's Carlo Engelbrecht reacted. And that move did the trick. A small gap started to open to the main peloton. Junior Aidan Klaasner of Team On Track was in there with 2 teammates. There were also 2 from ASAP and Action Cycles, 1 each from RDX and Kinetic and 2 from Mellon Mobile. The green Erasmus of Mellon Mobile is the Under-23 Mzansi Series leader and he was working hard. Rates Hofmeyer, the on-track team, on his wheel. Behind them there was a scramble. They all wanted to bring that break back and no one wanted to be on the wrong side of it. Team On Track is an Eastern Cape junior team and for now they were bossing the race. The catch was made by the group that included a clutch of RDX and ASAP riders. McDonald doing a strong pull for RDX. Brad Gavaris from Action Cycles then put his nose into the wind. All of these efforts failed to make too much impact. As they turned for Sardinia Bay with just over 20 kilometres to the finish, it was anyone's race. The 3 women in the break had a couple of minutes on their pursuers. Preen and Rousseau were doing most of the heavy lifting on the front. Van Schoor seemed content to sit in at third wheel. It was going to be an interesting tactical arm wrestle between these 3 before the finish. The RDX team were doing everything in their power to set up the race for either Hanro Geldenhuys or their other sprinter Joshua Lowe. Van der Berg then did a turn for the Durbanville-based team. The weather did change briefly and dramatically. A light drizzle was falling as they turned towards Schoenmakerskop. The speed was extremely high. Van der Berg caught in the middle of an ASAP sandwich for now. Downs was the rider everyone seemed to be watching in the chase. Brad Guveris again doing sterling work for Action Cycles. And eventually it paid off. The break was caught. But a few Ks later, a small group escaped. Downs, Reitz, Hofmeyer, Gelderhuis from RDX, Bernard Hofmann, Carlo Engelbrecht of ASAP, and Guveris. They were among the escapees, and it came down to a reduced bunch sprint in which Gelderhuis again proved his sprinting prowess to make it 2 wins in a row.
I said earlier in the week that winning it once, people can always call it a flash in the pan. But if you do it twice, it all cements it in. And that was what I came out to do. And I think the team, we came with a goal of trying to do it again. And we did it again. It didn't unfold the same as last year, but we made it work. And yeah.
5 women were in the second bunch, around 2 minutes behind the leading group. A split had occurred in that group. Van Schoor and Rousseau were now behind Hayley Breen, who'd attacked with around 10 Ks to go. And from there was no stopping the Honeycomb 2026's rider.
But I think to come back to this race, it's always a great race. It's a good confidence booster, different kind of race, like racing solo, time trial kind of effort. Yeah, it's just, I think it's good mentally and a nice race to have after a big goal of nationals last week.
Further back down the stunning roads of Gqeberha, and the big bunches were riding along at a brisk clip, enjoying a more than helpful tailwind as they hugged the coastline. Among them were the VA, VB and VC veterans bunches, a serious bunch of racers between the ages of 30 and 60 who like nothing more than to test themselves against each other, the course and the elements. Sometimes the beauty of the ride is missed by the riders, as they have eyes only for the road or the wheel in front of them. That is, until they stop at a water point.
The weather's playing along, the peloton is playing along, a couple of mountain guys, so yeah, awesome. Huh?
Go into a dark place when the cramp starts, but keep a positive mindset. So keep pushing, but we still have a long way to go. What is it? Yeah, still another 20 Ks. But we'll be fine, but we'll push through,
Roadside support was loud and enthusiastic. Maybe they should ride next year. Like this remarkable man, 74-year-old Rodney Rimmel, who finished in 4 hours and 51 minutes. He, like so many others, was pushing himself to his limits. The weather changed again during the morning, the cool drizzle giving way to a sunny and gloriously hot day. Leon Klaassen, organizer of the 160-kilometer Trans-Elands mountain bike race in May, was working hard on the front of a group. For many, the shorter distance race over 55 kilometers was an opportunity to tackle a road race for the first time.
It's been amazing, the weather is great, the vibe is awesome, and it's my first ride. First cycle event, so I'm very excited. These ladies have been supporting me and it's been fabulous.
And with Telkom on board, there was much to enthuse about.
You know what, the weather really came to show off in Nelson Mandela Bay today, and as you can see, the place is buzzing. We've got a cycle tour, but we've also, you know, over the years, slowly but surely tried to grow it into more of a cycle festival, and I think we're starting to see the effects of that. We're seeing children everywhere, and there's just like families that have come together and come out to support.
We're excited, I think, to be part of this activity as part of our initiatives, you know, to support local communities where we trade and conduct our businesses. We thought, let's be part of this together with our co-sponsors, in particular the Herald. And I think we'd like to make this a flagship project.
Absolutely exciting, particularly here in Port Elizabeth. We do not have a lot of activities, especially in sponsorship in this area, and it was important for us, true to our brand of connecting everyone to better, to also be in more areas in South Africa.
Rugby legend Brayton Polser was chuffed with his first lap of Gqeberha.
It really was spectacular. It was my first one, and so happy to have come down from Cape Town. When I saw the weather, I was like, I need to come do it. So, it was, well done to all the organizers, people who, the marshals, everybody who made sure that everybody is safe. And just to everybody, the weekend warriors and everybody who come and took on this race, I must say I really had a good time. The guys were so friendly, they don't call us a friendly city for nothing. And I just made lots of friends on the route as well. So I will certainly be back. And guess what? The weather was, for me, was a deciding factor.
That's all from this week's edition of Toyota Cadence. Cheers till next week.